Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Jaya Jaya Shri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda Jaya Advaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Jaya Jaya Shri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda Jaya Advaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. So we are reading from Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita by Srila Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami, translations and purports by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Sri Prabhupada Ki Jai. Namo Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prastaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Niti Namane Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharani Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Pachacha Deshatarani. And we are continuing from the Adi-lila Chapter 10, entitled The Branches of the Caitanya Tree, text 61, right? I think so.
Yeah,
61. So Adi-lila Chapter 10, text 61. Shivanandera Upashaka Tanra Padikara Putra Brityadikari Chaitanya Kinkara. The sons, servants, and family members of Shivananda Sain constituted a sub-branch. They were all sincere servants of Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Chaitanya Dasa Ramadasa Arakarnapura Dinaputra Shivanandera Prabhura Bhakta Shura.
the three sons of Shivananda Sain, named Chaitanya Das, Ram Das, and Karnapura, were all heroic devotees of Lord Chaitanya. Purport. Chaitanya Das, the eldest son of Shivananda Sain, wrote a commentary on Krishna Karnamrita that was later translated by Srila Bhakti Vinod Thakur in his paper Sajjan Toshani. According to expert opinion, Chaitanya Das was the author of the book Caitanya Charita, also known as Caitanya Caritamrita, not Kavi Karnapura as is generally supposed. This is the opinion of Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur. Sri Ram Das was the second son of Shivananda Sain. It is stated in Gaur Gunadesh and Vitana in Krishna Lila became the elder brothers of Kavi Karnapura, namely Chaitanya Das and Ram Das. Karnapura, the third son, who was also known as Paramananda Das or Puri Das, was initiated by Srinath Pandit, who was a disciple of Sri Advaita Prabhu. Karnapura wrote many books that are important in Vaishnav literature, such as the Ananda Vrindavan Champu, Alankar Kaustuba Gaur Guna De Alankar Kaustub Gaur Guna Desh Dipika, and the great epic Chaitanya Chandrodaya Nataka. He was born in the year 1448, Shakabda AD 1526. He continually wrote books for 10 years, from 1488 until 1498.
That's interesting how Lord Chaitanya wrote only Shikshastika, right? He wrote 8 verses, and yet his disciples and followers wrote so many books, right? The Goswamis wrote so many books, and then these sons of Shivananda Sain, especially Kavi Karnapur, wrote many important books. And this is cool, right? Kavi Karnapur's older brothers are Daksha and Vichakshana in Krishna Lila, 2 famous parrots. So, right, Shukadeva Goswami was also a parrot, so parrots are very talkative. And so when the parrots take human form, then they speak by writing. If you have something worth saying, then it's worth writing down so that others can also hear it. This is their mission. Okay, text 63. Shri Vallabhasena Arasena Shri Kanta Shivananda Sambande Prabhura Bhakta Ekanta.
Sri Vallabhasena and Sri Kantasena were also sub-branches of Shivananda Sena, but they were not only his nephews but also unalloyed devotees of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Srila Prabhupada's purport. When Lord Nityananda Prabhu rebuked Shivananda Sena on the way to Puri, the 2 nephews of Shivananda left the company as a protest and went to see Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu at Jagannath Puri. The Lord couldn't understand the feelings of the boys and he asked his personal assistant, Govinda, to supply them prasadam until the party of Sivananda arrived. During the Rath Yatra Sankirtana festival, these two brothers were members of the party led by Mukunda. In the Gaura Ganodesha Dipika 174, it is said that the gopi whose name was Katyayani appeared as Shrikanta Sena.
So we were hearing yesterday, right, about how Lord Nityananda kicked Shivananda Sen in the chest.
Yeah.
The Shrikanta Sen became upset about it. And looks like he didn't go alone ahead to see Lord Chaitanya, but he went with Sri Vallabha Sen. So they actually happened to be the nephews of Shivananda Sen, but they didn't approve of so they didn't like when Lord Nityananda apparently mistreated their uncle. Yeah, but Srikanta Sen is a Nitya Siddha. He's one of the gopis of Raj. And still he became unhappy with, he protested against Nityananda, Lord Nityananda's actions. So there you go.
I have this question, like that thing what Nityananda Prabhu did, if it was in front of us, we would even protest that, oh, this is not good to curse someone to death, or and then still they are Nitya Siddha. But like they are protesting, but still they have so much faith. What is this condition? Like, if we feel something, oh, this is wrong, then we get out of the faith, like, oh, this person has done something wrong, or we speculate from our mental thing. And in today's class also there was something which Ishwari Mataji was saying, and there was something did wrong, and it was very Uh, Srivas Thakur, he picked up his mother-in-law's hairs. Yeah, that is so like inconceivable. That's not. Yeah. So how to take these things?
So, I mean, if somebody does something inappropriate, it's not that you have to like so many bad things have happened in ISKCON. There's been all kinds of abuse in this movement. And yet we didn't leave ISKCON as a result of it, right?
Yeah.
And some people did, for sure. But just because there are individuals who act improperly doesn't mean that, I mean, it's not the fault of ISKCON. It's not the fault of the Gaudiya Vaishnava philosophy or theology. Like our philosophy doesn't condone such behaviors. But sometimes people do those things. So, yeah, of course, we can say that, well, it's because of their conditioning, because of their anarthas, they're, acting wrongly. They're acting based on their conditioning. But you can't say that about Lord Nityananda or Srivas Thakur. So then, what do you say?
Leela.
It's a transcendental Leela. It has to do with the relationship between Lord Nityananda and Shivananda Sen, or the relationship between Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Srivas Thakur and his mother-in-law. Right? There's always some backstory also.
Yeah.
Usually a backstory. Like, for example, we see that in the Battle of Kurukshetra, Bhishma Dev is fighting with, like, Bhishma Dev is throwing so many arrows at Arjuna that he's almost killing Arjuna. So that seems like what is going on. And then Krishna like goes rushing forward to kill Bhishma Dev. But Bhishma Dev is a devotee, so he might think, well, how is it that a pure devotee is trying to kill another pure devotee, and that the Lord has to like charge towards his pure devotee to try to kill him so that he'll stop killing his other pure devotee? It's like, this just seems so messed up, right? But actually it has to do with their transcendental rasa, that Bhishma Dev serves Krishna eternally in the dasya rasa, but with a secondary rasa of virya, which is chivalry. So that's like their rasa, is that they fight with each other. So that was very blissful for Bhishma Dev and very blissful also for Krishna. They were enjoying their eternal rasa there on the battlefield, and it was all wonderful and blissful and glorious. But from our point of view, it was just, wrong and unethical and violent and brutal. So yeah, the thing is, our perspective is very limited and we can't understand the mind of the Lord. So we shouldn't try to judge the Lord according to our own limited vision and conditioning. We just have to accept that what Lord Nityananda does is his transcendental mercy.
Yeah.
Did the family actually died or no?
Who?
Uh, whom he says, like whom Nityananda Prabhu cursed,
No,
that
they didn't.
they didn't die. It was just a play.
Yeah.
Okay.
Hannah.
I have a reflection, but also a question. Once I I was at the temple and these two devotees were arguing, but my morning had been so transcendental that usually when I would see these two devotees arguing every day, I would be like, oh God, and I would avoid them like the plague. But for some reason, this morning I saw their arguing as their Leela, like just like how you said, like they were both actually not arguing or fighting. They were like, it was so. I just had the realization these are actually two pure devotees, and whatever that's they're yapping about is actually transcendental. But my question is, so like in the case of Lord Nityananda, we know like this is a, this is not an ordinary personality. This is not somebody who can fall down. So whenever we see that something is happening that we cannot understand or that seems contradictory, we just automatically accept. So my question is but devotees, they can make mistakes. They can be on a spiritual platform, but they can also fall down. So how do we just trust the super soul in the heart to give us vision to see whenever something is transcendental and something is not? How do we know, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. So something might be transcendental, and then in that case, we should just smile and let it be. And something may not be transcendental. It may actually be, inappropriate, even abusive, in which case we shouldn't smile and let it be. We should become concerned and bring it to the attention of some authorities. So you're asking how to know the difference?
Yes, because those two devotees in that moment, I was like, wow, this is transcendental. And then the next day, I was like, oh, this devotee is very annoying.
Transcendentally annoying.
Well,
Yeah.
the next day it wasn't transcendental. I was actually perturbed. But I was
Oh,
like,
okay.
oh, did the vision leave? Or is this like is it just that the jivas are wavering, me or that devotee? You know?
Yeah. Yeah. So in that case, we can just ask, somebody if there's a senior devotee who happened to witness the same interaction. We can be like, that was a little disturbing, what do you think about what we just saw there? Is that okay, or is that something that we should be concerned about? And just get some advice from somebody else who has a different perspective on it.
Yeah, it's hard though to find devotees that you can trust in that way. Because if I were to have shared the day before that, oh, this bickering is transcendental, many people would not have agreed with me.
Mm.
You know, it's hard to find devotees that you can trust and say, yes, I see that too. Or actually, when something is wrong, instead of chastising you, being like, oh, don't gossip, Prabhu, it's very hard.
Yeah, but you're not gossiping if you saw something that you were disturbed by. It's not gossiping to try to like get some insight on it. Gossiping is like you go to someone else and be like, "Oh my God, did you know what I saw in the temple today? This person was saying this to this person." And all. Like the intention is different, the motive is different, and devotees will pick that up. That's Manohar saying. Also in the spiritual realm, these emotions are present in a Shuddha Sattvic manner, as described in Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, correct? Yeah, yeah. So there are arguments in the spiritual world, and they're on the platform of Shuddha Sattva. And yeah, these spiritual personalities, these are all Nitya personalities having their arguments and emotions, and they're also on the Shuddha Sattva platform. There's a difference between those and when we get upset based on, our false ego and so forth.
Okay, yeah. So if you don't have anyone you can ask about it, Hannah, then you just pray to Krishna.
Okay.
Okay, 64. Prabhu Priya Govindananda Mahabhagavata Prabhu Kirtaniya Adi Shri Govinda Datta. We're not going to be able to hear you, Chris. So we'll just go to Manohar. Would you like to read? You have it
I
there?
did not have it pulled up. Did not realize that. Didn't think to do
Okay,
that.
we can come back to you. Hannah,
Okay.
you got it there?
Yep. Govindananda and Govinda Datta, the 25th and 26th branches of the tree, were performers of kirtan in the company of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Govinda Datta was the principal singer in Lord Chaitanya's kirtan party. Report: Govinda Datta appeared in the village of Sukachara near Kadadha.
Okay. Good. So some more kirtan leaders. These are Lord Chaitanya's personal kirtaniya associates. Shri Vijaya Dasanama Prabhura Akariya Prabhure Aneka Punti Diya Chelikiya. Rich.
Please excuse me, Prabhupada Priya. I'm just listening in for today. I might have to go soon.
Okay, fine. How about Nikesh?
Sri Vijay Dasa, the 27th branch, another of the Lord's chief singers, gave the Lord many books written by hand. Purport. Formerly, there were no printing presses or printed books. All books were handwritten. Precious books were kept in manuscript form in temples or other important places, and anyone who was interested in a book had to copy it by hand. Vijay Dasa was a professional writer who copied many manuscripts and gave them to Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu.
He's like a human typewriter. Yeah, we hear about how Lord Chaitanya, when he was traveling through South India, he was looking for a copy of Brahma Samhita, because of the temples they would have like their library, their bookshelves. So Lord Chaitanya would go and look at all the bookshelves. He was looking for Brahma Samhita. Then finally, I think it was Brahma Samhita. Then finally he found it, and he stayed there for some days while he got somebody to copy it, just write the whole thing out, copy the whole thing out, and then he took that with him. So that was the thing. They didn't have Xerox or printers or whatever. Ratnabahu Bali Prabhu Tuila Tanranama Akinchana Prabhu Priya Krishna Dasanama. Arjuna? You there, Arjuna? Busy. Okay, back to me. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu gave Vijay Das the name Ratnabahu, jewel-handed, because he copied many manuscripts for him. The 28th branch was Krishnadas, who was very dear to the Lord. He was known as Akinchana Krishnadas. Akinchana means one who possesses nothing in this world. Looks like Vijay had nice handwriting. Ratnabahu, the jewel-handed. Kolavecha Shridhar Prabhura Priyadasa Yanhasane Prabhu Kare Nitya Padihasa.
The 29th branch was Sridhar, a trader in banana tree bark. He was a very dear servant of the Lord. On many occasions, the Lord played jokes on him. Purport: Sridhar was a poor Brahmana who made a living by selling banana tree bark to be made into cups. Most probably, he had a banana tree garden and collected the leaves, skin, and pulp of the banana trees to sell daily in the market. He spent 50% of his income to worship the Ganges, and the balance he used for his subsistence. When Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu started his civil disobedience movement in defense of the Qazi, Sridhar danced in jubilation. The Lord used to drink water from his water jug. Sridhar presented a squash to Shachi Devi to cook before Lord Chaitanya took sannyas. Every year he went to see Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu at Jagannath Puri. According to Kavi Karnapura, Sridhar was a cowherd boy of Vrindavan whose name was Kusuma Sava. In his Gaur Gunadesh Dipika, it is 133, it is stated, खोला वे चंत ख्याति पंडित श्रीधरो तिवा. What is it? Ashida vraje hasya karu yo namana Kusuma Sava. The cowherd boy known as Kusuma Sava in Krishna Leela later became Kola Vecha Sridhar during Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's Leela at Navadvip.
Heard about Palavicha Sridhar before.
Yeah, in the class.
Hannah?
This is probably a bad question to ask so far into this, but I do not understand the Chaitanya tree. Like, is it a tree that's constantly, like, I don't get how these personalities are branches and how ISKCON is a branch, you know, even though it's 500 years later. Is the tree constantly expanding? Why are these personalities branches? Like, I just don't understand.
Yeah, thanks. So yeah, the Lord Chaitanya is the trunk of the tree, and then as the tree grows, it has main branches and sub branches, and it continues to grow new branches. Right? Trees keep growing and keep expanding. So the reason that these personalities that we're hearing about here are called branches is because they had their own disciples, right? They had their own followers who became sub branches, or sometimes it was disciples, sometimes it was children who grew up, became powerful devotees, and they became sub branches, and then they went on to have their either children or disciples who were powerful devotees, made others devotees, and so it just kept branching out like that. In the same way that, so let's say 60 years ago, another strong branch sprouted from the Chaitanya tree, and you could say that it sprouted out of, it was already, it sprouted from something that was already started, because it's attached to it's attached to Lord Chaitanya, but through disciplic succession. So, but then from the ISKCON branch, you could say the main branch is Srila Prabhupada, and then his disciples. But then his disciples now have disciples. And some of those disciples have many disciples. So that's like a very strong branch that has many sub branches, because their disciples will have disciples, and their disciples will have disciples. And then some of them have not so many disciples, so it'll be a smaller branch, but still it will have sub branches and twigs and leaves, and the idea is that all these branches have the potential to produce flowers and fruits, and those fruits are Krishna Prema, and that all of the devotees are not just branches, but they're also gardeners. It's like Lord Chaitanya said that he's the trunk of the tree, and he's also the gardener, and he also eats the fruits himself. So he's the trunk, and he picks the fruits and distributes them to others, and he also eats some. So in the same way, we are connected to the ISKCON branch through the sub branch of our gurus, and so we're cultivating love of God, and we're also sharing it. So we are growing personally as individual devotees, and we are also assisting others in their spiritual growth. So in that way, we are eating the fruits of the tree and being nourished by those fruits, and we're also distributing the fruits to others by preaching, by sharing Krishna consciousness. So, and then it keeps growing, right? Like, right, Hannah, you could be a little branch, and then when you become strong in Krishna consciousness, one day you'll have your disciples, and then there'll be little sub branches. Go ahead.
You're funny.
Not funny.
So why is it not called the Krishna tree then? Because what about the disciplic succession? Is it because Krishna did not teach how to have devotion to him, but Lord Chaitanya did?
Yeah, I mean, Lord Chaitanya is Krishna, so saying that it's a Chaitanya tree is saying that it's the Krishna tree. But the thing is that when Lord Chaitanya came, then he kind of he within the Brahma Madhva Sampradaya, he changed things. You know, he inaugurated the Yuga Dharma, which is different from what Madhvacharya taught. So, yeah, in one sense, it was kind of like a new beginning because he's the Yuga avatar.
Thank you so much.
Okay, text 68. Prabhu Yanra Nityalaya Toda Mocha Pada Yanra Puta Loha Patre Prabhu Bila Jala.
67, right?
68.
Every day, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu jokingly snatched fruits, flowers, and herbs from Shivara and drank from his broken iron heart.
Yeah, so we were telling all about this.
Yeah.
And I think we'll hear more about it later. 69. Prabhu Ati Priya Dasa Bhagavan Pandita Yanra Deha Krishna Purve Haila Adishita. Did you read before?
Yeah.
Okay. Manohar, you got it now? 69.
Yep. The 30th branch was Bhagavan Pandit. He was an extremely dear servant of the Lord, but even previously he was a great devotee of Lord Krishna, who always kept the Lord within his heart.
Bhagavan Pandit. Text 70. Jagadisha Pandit Ara Hiranya Mahashaya Yare Kripa Kailavaye Prabhudaya Maya. Vikash.
The 31st branch was Jagadish Pandita, and the 32nd was Hiranya Mahasaya, unto whom Lord Chaitanya in his childhood showed his causeless mercy. Purport. Jagadish Pandita was formerly a great dancer in Krishna Lila and was known as Chandrahasa. Regarding Hiranya Pandita, it is said that once when Lord Nityananda, decorated with valuable jewels, was staying at his home, all night long a great thief attempted to plunder the jewels but was unsuccessful. Later he came to Nityananda Prabhu and surrendered unto him.
Yeah. I think this story was oh no, I'm thinking something else. I'm thinking when they were traveling, there was a camp and thieves were running all night. They didn't get anywhere. That was I think that was Janava Devi, Lord Nityananda's wife. And they understood that this Vaishnavi has a lot of power. They had better not go any closer. They might be done for.
They were running all night chasing her, but they could not go closer to her.
Yeah. Like they set up a camp. She was traveling from, I guess, wherever she was, somewhere eastern India over to Vrindavan. And so they camped out during the night. And she was traveling with some of her disciples, followers. And they thought, okay, this is easy. It's just a Mataji there. Anyways, they thought, they're traveling, they've got valuables and stuff. Let's loot them in the night when they're sleeping. So then they thought they got there and they were running and running and running and running. And then they saw they were running and then the sun started coming up already after running all night. And they weren't that far. They were only like, let's say 50, 100 meters away, running all night. They couldn't get there. And then when they saw the sun coming up and they were still the same place they were when they started, they were like, uh-oh, this person is protected, or this person has powers beyond we had expected. We need to get out of here quick before they kill us. Okay. Edui Gare Prabhu Ekadashi Dine Vishnura Naivedyamagi Kaila Apane. Anna?
In their two houses, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu begged food on the Ekadasi day and personally ate it. Purport. The injunction to fast on Ekadasi is especially meant for devotees. On Ekadasi, there are no restrictions regarding food that may be offered to the Lord. Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu took the food of Lord Vishnu in his ecstasy as Vishnu Sattva.
Yeah, so when this happened, some people got confused because they were thinking that, Lord Chaitanya came in the form of a devotee, so why is he eating on Ekadasi? And these, the names Jagadish and Hiranya, they were very rich. They were very wealthy. So when they cooked, it was always a big feast. They made like many offerings, very opulent offerings. And I think even they would make food and offer to the Lord. And because they're offering to the Lord doesn't have to fast. So they would offer in grains. It was full of grains meal. It wasn't Ekadasi prasadam. And then Lord Chaitanya went there and he just ate the prasadam. And then some people were like, wait, what? But then, he was in the mood of Lord. He was like manifesting his features as God. He doesn't have to fast on Ekadasi. Yes, Hannah.
Is it more devotional to make, like to offer food that you cannot eat to the Lord on Ekadasi?
It depends on what you're doing. Like devotion is your state of consciousness, right? Devotion means where your heart is at, necessarily what you do. So you could cook grains for the Lord with great devotion, although you're not eating them, or you could cook Ekadasi prasadam with great devotion, thinking that afterwards I'll distribute this to the devotees, and devotees I'll be able to do seva for the Lord and also Vaishnava seva as well today. So it just depends on your own consciousness, right? You can't necessarily say that one is more devotional than the other. This really depends on the actual devotion and your motivations for doing things. Text 72. Prabhupada dui Purushottama Sanjaya Yakkarane dui Shishya dui Mahashaya. Arjuna. Let's see if Arjuna's there. Arjuna got busy. Okay, Vrindavan Natvar. You know where we are? We're on text 72.
Yes. The 33rd and 34th branches were the two students of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu named Purushottam and Sanjaya, who were stalwart students in grammar. They were very great personalities. Srila Prabhupada's purport. These two students were inhabitants of Navadvip and were the Lord's first companions in the Sankirtan movement. According to the Chaitanya Bhagavat, Purushottama Sanjaya was the son of Mukunda Sanjaya, but the author of Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita has clarified that Purushottama and Sanjaya were two people, not one.
Someone says that Purushottam Sanjaya is one person. He says that Purushottam and Sanjaya are two people. Interesting. That's nice. They were the Lord's first companions in the Sankirtan movement. So they were his students when Lord Chaitanya was teaching grammar. And for some of his students abandoned him after he started manifesting his devotee pastimes. But apparently these two were two that stayed with him. And then they stuck with him and started the Sankirtan movement in Navadvip. Yeah, we were hearing about that this morning in class because today is actually either appearance or disappearance of Srivas Thakur. So the Sankirtan movement started in Srivas Thakur's house because it was a gathering place for devotees. And in the beginning, devotees, even before Lord Chaitanya became active in Sankirtan or became his, I don't know what to call it, bhakti pastimes became manifested, devotee pastimes became manifested, when he was still playing the part of being a mundane scholar and teacher of grammar, then devotees like Advaita Acharya and Srivas Thakur and others used to meet at Srivas Thakur's house and read Srimad Bhagavatam and chant the holy names and things. So then that was naturally the meeting place of the Vaishnavas. So after Lord Chaitanya went to Gaya and got initiated by Ishvara Puri, then he came back and he had a whole transformation, and now he was, an ecstatic devotee chanting the holy names. And so, of course, he went to Srivas Thakur's house to meet the devotees, chat with them, because now this was in life. And so they'd all get together and chat, and those kirtans started off probably, in the evenings, and then they ended up getting so ecstatic that they started going all night, and then that became a regular thing that they do kirtan all night in Srivas Thakur's house. And then after some time, then they were like, let's take this outside on the streets, and that's when they started with Harinam Sankirtan, public chanting. So it looks like these two, Purushottam and Sanjay, were there from the beginning in the house of Srivas Thakur, chanting with the Lord. Very fortunate souls. 73. Vanamali Pandita Shaka Vikyata Jagate Sonara Mushala Hala Dekila Papura Hate. Well, let me just say one thing. I was thinking when Ishvari Kumari was giving the class this morning here talking about Srivas Thakur, and she quoted something that there are 4 places that Lord Chaitanya will always be present. Said that, I must be in the Chaitanya Bhagavat. He said that one place is whenever there's kirtan being performed in the house of Srivas Thakur. Another is whenever Sachimata cooks for him. Another is whenever Lord Nityananda is dancing. And then another one is in the house of Raghava Pandit. So I was just thinking about how every year when we go on our yatras when we go to Mayapur, we always go to Srivas Thakur's house and we do a big wild stomping kirtan. And it always gets really ecstatic, so that everybody feels there's something special in that kirtan at Srivas Thakur's house. And now we know why, because whenever there's kirtan in the house of Srivas Thakur, then Lord Chaitanya is personally present. Wonderful. Okay, so who's reading? Me? Vanamali Pandit, the 35th branch of the tree, was very much celebrated in this world. He saw a golden club and plow in the hands of the Lord. Purport. Vanamali Pandit saw Lord Chaitanya in the ecstasy of Balaram. This is described vividly in the Chaitanya Bhagavat Antyakanda, chapter 9. So this is a thing that devotees, according to their eternal relationship with Krishna, they see the Lord in a certain way. So this Vanamali Pandit seems like he's a Balaram Bhakta. And when he sees Lord Chaitanya, he sees him with a club and a plow in his hands. Yes, Hannah, you're full of questions today.
Yeah, because one time I thought that we heard that this is like, please correct me if I'm wrong. I thought this was Rasa Bas or something.
What?
Like that we were not supposed to see, like put a peacock feather in Lord Chaitanya's hair, or because, anyways.
Yeah.
Because oh, go ahead. Sorry.
Well, he wasn't putting a club and plow in the hands. He wasn't like worshiping his Gornitai deities and giving them a plow. He was just seeing them like that. So that's okay. You can see them like that.
But then, isn't it if you see them like that, then you might want to worship them like that?
No, because that's your personal thing and you don't go around like advertising that. I mean, if you want, if you have your home deities like in your private room or something, but you're not going to do that like on the altar in the ISKCON temple.
Okay, I thought we were not supposed to see, like we were supposed to not have that vision. So that was just my question.
I mean, there are very few supposed to when it comes to your personal vision of the Lord, right? How you see the Lord is how you see the Lord. And that's different for different devotees. So yeah, don't let anyone tell you how you're supposed to see the Lord or how you're supposed to love the Lord or relate to the Lord. You just let that be. But when it comes to worship of the deity in the temple, then, there are standards and regulations that we need to follow. But in our personal meditations on Krishna, our relationship with Krishna, then that's not something to be governed by rules.
But does it displease the Lord to be like I thought that it was displeasing for Lord Chaitanya and disturbed him to be seen as anything but a devotee.
Well, no, because when it just depended on the situation with Lord Chaitanya, because, when people when he was kind of like in a public situation where there are like all kinds of people around and people would say things like, I think you are Supreme Personality of Godhead, Narayan himself, Krishna himself, and Lord Chaitanya would be like, oh, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Krishna. You cover his ears and chant the holy names, right? Like, don't say that nonsense. But then in the more private setting, when he was with his personal, very confidential associates, then he would reveal different forms of the Lord, right? We were reading yesterday about Murari Gupta and how he revealed the form of Varahadev. He revealed the form of Lord Ramachandra, because Lord Ramachandra is the worshipable form of the Lord of Murari Gupta. And then in his Mahaprakash Lila, he revealed so many different forms to different devotees according to their moods. So, yeah. But he didn't want that to be public knowledge because, one, he wanted to teach people how to be devotees. And two, he didn't want to be like, I'm God, worship me as God, because he didn't want to encourage other people to be like, yeah, you're God and so am I, we're all God, right? He didn't want to encourage Mayavadis, right? Part of his mission was to kind of break the stronghold of the Mayavad philosophy over India at that time. So he was like, no, we're not God, we're devotees. And just see how I'm a devotee. Vrindavanadvar?
A couple of things. I mean, it started as one thing, but then hearing this, it became a couple of things. First, I just wanted to say, like, Hannah Prabhu, for example, Prabhupada did actually say that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu should always have peacock feather. I mean, whether people want to do that or not, it's okay, but like Prabhupada did mention that. And he said even sometimes Lord Nityananda, even, which is amazing and mind-blowing. But my question was actually why can't we, like, you know, like for example, I have seen in Portland, they have some things on Ram Navami they use to give Lord Chaitanya Shadbhuj form. They give Mahaprabhu like a bow and arrow and like a flute. Like, is that actually like blasphemous or like somehow like offensive? Because I mean that is Mahaprabhu. That's what Mahaprabhu looks like. So
Yeah.
why
I
not?
mean, I don't know. I'm not a deity worship person, but I have seen things too, like on Lord Ramachandra's appearance day. I've seen how sometimes they'll give a bow and arrow to Krishna.
Yeah.
Krishna will be like having a quiver on his back with arrows and holding the bow. No, where did I see that? I can't remember. Can't remember. But yeah, sometimes they do that on festival days, right? But it's not what you do on festival days is different from what you're doing every day, right? It's not like every day you're going to do that. Otherwise, that would be weird. But
We're basically not like presenting Gornitai as Balaram, like
Ramchandra
on
or
a
Balaram,
yeah, like on a yeah. Okay, that's like very reasonable. Thank you.
Yeah, but on a festival day, you might do something special just to invoke, more remembrance of the personality who we're celebrating on that day. Text 74. Sri Chaitanya Ati Priya Buddhimanta Khan Ajanma Agyakari Tenho Sevaka Pradhan.
The 36th branch, Buddhimata Khan, was extremely dear to Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. He was always prepared to carry out the Lord's orders, and therefore he was considered to be a chief servant of the Lord. Sri Buddhimata Khan was one of the inhabitants of Navadvip. He was very rich, and it is he who arranged for the marriage of Lord Chaitanya with Vishnupriya, the daughter of Sanatan Mishra, who was the priest of the local zamindar. He personally defrayed all the expenditures for the marriage ceremony. When Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was attacked by Vayu Vyadhi, derangement of the air within the body, Buddhimata Manta Khan paid for all requisite medicines and treatments to cure the Lord. He was the Lord's constant companion in the Kirtan movement. He collected ornaments for the Lord when he played the part of the goddess of fortune in the house of Chandrasekhara Acharya. He also went to see Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu when he was staying at Jagannath Puri.
Imagine being the matchmaker for the Lord. He found the Lord's wife, matched them up, and he also paid all the expenses for their wedding. It's a nice service. He must have been really sad when Lord Chaitanya took sannyas and left little Vishnupriya by herself at such a young age. That's what to do. The Lord's going to do what he's going to do. And Prabhupada keeps mentioning this incident where the Lord Chaitanya dresses up as the goddess of fortune. But I don't remember hearing that described in detail. Must be in Chaitanya Bhagavat. I'll try to find it. Must have been very beautiful. Text 75. Garuda Pandit Laya Srinama Mangala Namabale Vishayanu Nakarila Bala.
Garuda Pandita, the 37th branch of the tree, always engaged in chanting the auspicious name of the Lord. Because of the strength of this chanting, even the effects of poison could not touch him. Srila Prabhupada's purport. Garuda Pandita was once bitten by the poisonous snake, but the snake's poison could not affect him because of his chanting the Hare Krishna Mahamantra.
There you go. You get bitten by a snake. Chant Hare Krishna. Srinatha Singha Eka Chaitanya Dasa Akrura Valika Bunyale Kaila Parihasa.
Gopinath Singha, the 38th branch of the tree, was a faithful servant of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. The Lord jokingly addressed him as Akrura. Srila Prabhupada's purpose. Actually, he was Akrura, as stated in text 117 of the Gaura Ganodesha Dipika.
Can you imagine, like, the Lord just jokingly addresses you as your actual name of your eternal constitutional position? He sees you like that. Oh, text 77. Bhagavati Devananda Vakrishwara Kripate Bhagavatera Bhakti Artha Paila Prabhu Haite.
Vakreshwar Pandit and the grace of the Lord, he understood the devotional interpretation of the Bhagavata. Report. In the Chaitanya Bhagavata, Madhyakhanda, chapter 21, it is stated that Devananda Pandit and Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya's father, Visharada, lived in the same village. Devananda Pandit was a professional reciter of Srimad Bhagavatam, but Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu did not like his interpretation of it. In the present town of Navadvipa, which was formerly known as Pulia, Lord Chaitanya showed such mercy to him that he gave up the Mayavadi interpretation of Srimad Bhagavatam and learned how to explain Srimad Bhagavatam in terms of bhakti. Formerly, when Devananda was expounding the Mayavadi interpretation, Srivas Thakur was once present in his meeting, and when he began to cry, Devananda's students drove him away. Some days later, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu passed that way, and when he met Devananda, he chastised him severely because of his Mayavad interpretation of Srimad Bhagavatam. At that time, Devananda had little faith in Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu as an incarnation of Lord Krishna. But one night, sometime later, Vakreshwara Pandit was a guest in his house, and when he explained the signs of Krishna, Devananda was convinced about the identity of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Thus, he was induced to explain Srimad Bhagavatam according to the Vaishnava understanding. In the Gaur Ganodesh Deepika 106, it is described that he was formerly Bhaguri Muni, the Sabha Pandit who recited Vedic literatures in the house of Nanda Maharaj.
Wow, that's why he was so enthusiastic to recite Srimad Bhagavatam. The eternal insider and data to the truth. Hey, well, Lauren, hey, did you come to class or are we having a meeting? Meter? Oh. Okay, we have 10 more minutes of Caitanya Charitamrita. Almost in a minute. Okay. Text 78, 79. Kandavasi Mukunda Dasa Sri Raghunandana Narahari Dasa Chiranjiva Sulochana Isava Mahashaka Chaitanya Kripadama Prema Pada Pula Kaleyaha Tahadana. Nikesh?
Sri Khandavasi Mukunda and his son Raghuvanananda were the 39th branch of the tree. Narahari was the 40th, Chiranjiva the 41st, and Sulochana the 42nd. They were all big branches of the all merciful tree of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. They distributed the fruits and flowers of love of Godhead anywhere and everywhere. Purport. Sri Mukunda Dasa was the son of Narayana Dasa and eldest brother of Narahari Sarkara. His second brother's name was Madhava Dasa and his son was named Raghunandana Dasa. Descendants of Raghunandana Dasa still live 4 miles west of Katwa in the village named Srikhanda, where Raghunananda Dasa used to live. Raghunananda had one son named Kanai, who had 2 sons, Madanaraya, who was a disciple of Narahari Thakur, and Vamsivadana. It is estimated that at least 400 men descended in this dynasty. All their names are recorded in the village of Srikhanda. In the Gaura Ganodesa Dipika 175, it is stated that the Gopi, whose name was Brinda Devi, became Mukunda Dasa, lived in Srikhanda village and was very dear to Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. His wonderful devotion and love for Krishna are distributed in the Chaitanya Charitamrita, Adi-lila Chapter 15. It is stated in the Bhakti Ratnakara 8 wave that Raghunananda used to serve a deity of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Narahari Das Sarkar was a very famous devotee. Lochana Das Thakur, the celebrated author of Sri Chaitanya Mangala, was his disciple. In the Chaitanya Mangala, it is stated that Sri Gadadhar Das and Narahari Sarkar were extremely dear to Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, but there is no specific statement regarding the inhabitants of the village of Srikhanda. Chiranjiva and Sulochana were both residents of Srikhanda, where their descendants are still living. Of Chiranjiva's 2 sons, the elder Ramachandra Kaviraja was a disciple of Srinivas Acharya and an intimate associate of Narottama Das Thakur. The younger son was Govinda Das Kaviraja, the famous Vaishnava poet. Chiranjiva's wife was Sunanda, and his father-in-law was Damodar Sena Kaviraja. Chiranjiva previously lived on the bank of the Ganges River in the village of Kumaranagar. The Gaur Ganodesa Dipika 207 states that he was formerly Chandrika in Vrindavan.
Yeah, this boy Raghunandana is very famous because there's one pastime where his father was Mukunda. It's interesting, I didn't know his father Mukunda was actually Vrinda Devi and Krishna Lila. But anyways, his father Mukunda, they had the deity of Krishna, and every day they would cook for the deity and offer. So one day Mukunda had to go out, and so Raghunanda was a small boy, and he was at home. So Mukunda said, "I need to go out. When it's time, you do the offering, and make sure you make sure that you do the offering properly, and that Krishna, accepts the offering, so that Krishna will accept the offering." So then little Raghunanda, he was small. He was only like 5, 6 years old or something, but he had watched his father do the offering many times, so he knew how to do everything. So he goes there and he gets up, he puts the plates there, And then he's got the bell and he's doing his thing. He's saying the mantras and all that, just like his father would do. And then, so then he's looking, and then the deity's just standing there, like deity's not eating. So he's like, oh no, my father told me that I should do it properly, and so that the deity accepts the offering, but he's not accepting it. He's just standing there. So he gets a little stressed out, and he does the whole thing again, all the mantras, ring the bell, paying obeisances, saying his prayers, everything. Deity's not eating. Then he starts getting really anxious, and he says, dear Krishna, please, you have to, my father asked me to make sure that you accept this. Please, you have to eat the offering. So then the deity like reaches down, picks up the prasadam, the offering, and starts eating. He eats everything. And then, so later father gets home, and then he's like, Raghunandana, I'm back. It's been a long day. I'm very hungry. Where's the prasadam? And then Raghunanda's like, prasadam? He's like, yeah, you did the offering, right? He said, yeah, I did the offering. And he said, okay, so where's the prasadam? What are the remnants the Lord left behind? And then Raghunanda said, well, he didn't leave anything behind today. He ate everything. And so Mukunda's thinking, okay. And he knew his son well enough to know that he didn't just like gobble it all up himself or whatever. He knew it was a sweet boy. He wouldn't be that naughty. So he thought, okay, Raghunanda, I have some sweet balls. I have some laddus that we're keeping for offering. So you offer him some sweets now. He had his lunch. Now he should have some dessert. You offer these now. And then so Raghunanda said, you offer them exactly the same way you offered the lunch. So then Raghunanda's doing the offering, and he's like making sure his father's watching, like from the side. So Raghunanda can't see that he's watching. He's eating. And then Mukund is just like, oh my God, my son, who is this boy? So yeah, he said that from that we can see that Raghunandan was a very special devotee that made the deity actually like eat everything. And then is also mentioned here this associate of, is mentioned Ramachandra Kaviraj. So he was a disciple of Srinivas Thakur, and says he became an intimate associate of Narottam Das Thakur. So Narottam Das Thakur, he wrote many songs, right? Many songs that we sing, like, Shri Guru Charana Padma, that song, and there's so many songs that we sing regularly in ISKCON, were written by Narottam Das Thakur. And so he had a very close friend named Srinivasacharya. And Srinivasacharya also, I think he wrote the, what did he write? I'm blanking out. Anyways, he also wrote some songs. And so Ramachandra Kaviraj was actually a disciple of Srinivas Thakur, but he became very, very close with Narottam Das Thakur, and he spent a lot of time with him, especially at the end of his life. Narottam Das Thakur was served by Ramachandra Kaviraj. And even though he was kind of like a god nephew, he was the disciple of his friend, but they became friends, and they were so intimately connected that there was one pastime where Narottam Das Thakur, at the end of his life, he would get into these very deep meditations in which he would like enter into Krishna Lila. He would be meditating on a Lila, and then he would just basically like lose external consciousness and get so absorbed in the Lila, and he would be serving in that Lila. So what happened was, this particular Lila, this time was that Radharani was bathing, and Radhakund or some Kund along with her friends, and her nose ring fell off in the water. And it was his job. So he was an assistant of Radharani, helping her to get dressed again. And then it was discovered that the nose ring was missing. So he was going in the water in his meditation as, a little gopi. He was going into the water and trying to find the nose ring, He couldn't find it. And so in his external form as Narottam Das Thakur, he's sitting there, and he's just sitting there like in this trance with no external consciousness, like for days. And so everybody's getting really worried. All of his disciples are getting super worried, like, oh my God, he's not eating, he's not drinking, he's not sleeping. They're worried he was going to like die, because he was just inert there. And then finally, Ramachandra Kaviraj said, okay, I think I'm going to try to help. I'm going to try to like save the situation. So then he sits down next to Narottam Das Thakur, he offers his obeisances, he says his prayers, and he sits down next to him and he gets into meditation. And then he, because he's so closely connected spiritually with Narottam Das Thakur, he was able to enter into the same meditation. And then in the Leela, then he understands that, Narottam Das Thakur in his gopi form is looking for the ankle bell. And then he goes in the water and he's looking underwater. He finds the ankle bell, the nose ring. He hands it to Narottam Das Thakur in his gopi form. And then Narottam Das Thakur in his gopi form hands it to whoever is decorating Radharani with the jewelry, puts in the nose ring. And then he opens his eyes and everything is good.
Radharani asked to Krishna about, please, if you have my nose ring, please give it to me. And then all the gopis request him, please find my nose ring. I'll share that.
Oh, yeah?
That's such a lovely song. We still
Cool.
play till the day.
Oh, yeah.
Whenever there is Garba, make sure we play that song.
Oh, that's nice. Yeah, I thought it was so sweet that, such transcendental intimacy, between the two devotees.
Srinivasacharya's song is Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Daya Karunare.
Oh, yeah, that one. Yeah, I knew there was one song that.
Radha Krishna Pran Mura is also here.
And
Yeah, very- Yeah. Shri Guru Charana Padma is.
No, that's
Guru
not
Vandana.
Thakur.
Narottam Das
Is
Thakur.
this Srinivasacharya?
Oh,
Yeah.
Shri Guru Charan Padma is not from
Yeah.
Thakur.
Definitely.
Yeah.
And
Chaitanya Mahaprabhu Daya
Baju Mana is Govinda Das. It's not Srinivasacharya. That's right. Are you asking
Yeah.
ChatGPT?
No, it's Google. No, it's Google.
AI doesn't know everything. AI mixes it.
Google doesn't know our it's gone.
Okay, the time is 7:02 and don't trust AI. So please see you all tomorrow, same time, same place. Shri Caitanya Charitamrita ki jai.
Yes.
Kaviraj Goswami.
Ki Jai.